What's up, everybody? It's Monday night. It is March 14th, 314 Pie Day. I could go for some pie.
Right,
My
Pie
name
Day.
is Donna V, and I'm the host tonight of Open-Minded Mystics. I am here with my fellow amazing women, Tracy Locke, the voice of the audience, Kim Mazzella, the relationship coach and life docent, our amazing voice of Course in Miracles. She knows all this. She just knows all the stuff. She does. She knows all the stuff. And we are here today for episode 69. And of course, Jerry Reesby is here. We love it. Jerry Reesby is here. Hi, Jerry, all the way from Texas. If you're watching for the first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. We are here Monday evenings at 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And once a month, we have Open-Minded Mystics Mastermind Group, which is amazing, and we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. All we ask, if you're here and you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, share, like, love, all that good stuff. And on Facebook, do the same, because we are trying to expand our collective consciousness so that others can just help lift us up together, you know, just like a big old family. So, Sherry Freed, what's up?
Are you going to say raise the vibration of the
we want to raise the vibration of the global population.
Yep.
One good deed, one good word, one kind thing at a time. You know it. Ladies, got yellow on. We have our flag up for the Ukraine tonight. We are talking about so many different things and keeping the people of the Ukraine, you know, definitely in our prayers and our thoughts. So I am excited to say we are here. Episode 69. Can you imagine?
69!
Well, okay. She's crazy.
I had to
She had to say it.
It's a lucky number. It's a lucky number.
That's great. How are we doing tonight?
Great. I am doing very well. I'm very excited to see you both, as always. I'm thrilled to be talking about what we're talking about because I think it's so pertinent. I think it's so important. Hello, Jessica.
Hey,
Thank you for being here. Margarita.
Margarita right now.
I need you here, right here next to me.
Thank you for being here, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I just think with everything that's happening in the world, and you have the Ukrainian flag in the upper right-hand corner, and I think it's really important that we get together and, you know, send light and love out more than ever in this world. This is like a safe place to fall. You know, it feels great to be able to talk about all the things that are happening in the world and what we can actually do about them. That's what I love in the message that you put up, Donna, is that what can we actually be doing to help? Obviously, we can't, if we cannot be there, which we can't. What can we be doing? What can we be sending besides aid, money, love, prayers, light? What can we be doing? And so I think it's really important that we all talk about this, because I know I feel helpless, because it's like, okay, I have a job that I cannot leave because I provide my own money for my life. So I can't just leave. I actually know someone who, where I work when I'm not here on the Open-Minded Mystics, which hopefully it'll just be my only job very soon. I'm feeling great about that. But long story short, he left for Poland. He stopped his job and he said, I'm going to Poland. And he flew to Poland. He had to turn off his phone because as Americans, it's not safe to have your phone on because they can track you. Obviously, the Russian government has all of those trackers. And they said to them, for your own safety, if you go over to help, you turn off your phone. So he has he's not getting in touch with anyone from the United States. And he's going there and he's walking across the border to help fight with Ukraine. And he's not Ukrainian. He's not Polish. He's not Ukrainian. He just felt like this is a situation that I need to be involved in. He's young. He's in his 30s. And it's a noble thing. And it's a thing that personally I've thought of like, what could I actually be doing to help? There's so many children that need help, that are orphans that are coming across, or their parents are still in the Ukraine. And I'm sure you guys saw that story about the little boy who's 11 years old and had a phone number written on his hand and a little suitcase. And his mother had to send him out to get to another country by himself.
Yeah.
She sewed his blood type on this jacket and that's it. And I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews. You guys have kids. I can't, my nephew happens to be the same exact age. I can't even imagine doing that, but she had to do it because her mother is infirm and can't be moved. So we'll talk about a conundrum, talk about a rock in a hard place. And these are people. And if you put yourself in those positions, you're like, Oh my God. How can you make that choice? But how could you not make that choice, right? It's like you see both sides of the coin. And I just feel we've talked about this, and I know we're going to get into it, Donna and Kim, that I am a news junkie in the morning about this, just because I'm like, what the heck is going on now? Because it is so unpredictable. But it's just to be able to put yourself in their shoes, which I know is what you do when you listen to the news, which is not always healthy. But in this case, it's like I feel like I need to know what's going on for the safety of myself as well as other people. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I'm not even carrying it. I'm not in the Ukraine. I don't have family that's there, but I am Ukrainian, so it's
I didn't know that.
yeah, I am. Yeah, so it is.
I'm part Polish, so
Yeah,
but I think it's just we're all human, right? So we're hoping, and then I want to hear what Kim has to say.
yes,
But just to like kind of bounce off of what Tracy said, so that from the perspective of a life coach, I'd love to hear on the topic of pivoting from two different perspectives. I just spent a week away with Tracy, and one of the things I really noticed about her was that every morning she listens to the news constantly. And that's awesome if that's what this is like a no judgment.
right.
I personally cannot. Like I can take it in little dribs and drabs. I take it not because I want to stick my head in the sand, but because I do feel as a light worker for myself, that is the easiest way for me to stay on my high flying disc and for me to stay in the place of a higher elevation of love and light and giving off the best vibes I could personally possibly give off. And I put music on because for me, that elevates my spirit. And no matter what kind of a night's sleep I have, no matter what's going on in my life, whether it be work or personal, I know I can put music on and it really activates a part of me that keeps me in this place where I can spread joy a lot more easily. Mm-hmm. So Kim, the question I think I was really thinking about tonight when we were talking about the topic and bouncing the ideas off each other is on the basic focal point of pivoting. And when you talk about people pivoting in situations like this is not just an everyday, somebody may have scratched my car or walked in front of me in line at Target. This is like war. This is, lack of peace in the world. What is it that we can do and to help?
I want to step back and just give a spiritual perspective because that's my job, right? So if you think about this world is war. I mean, this is not the first war we've had in this century. It's like the 10th. I mean, if you ask the Syrians about war, if you ask the people from Afghanistan about war, there's so many places in this world where people are getting killed by the people who are in charge, where people are trying to take territory. So this is not new, right? The world is a painful place from the point of view of the world. And so if just getting to understand that our job is so from a spiritual perspective, peace is not found by fighting for peace, right? Peace is found by demonstrating it. If you're in war right now, if you're in Ukraine, my answer is going to be very different to you than if you're here. But it's all the same thing, really. It's going to sound a little different, but it's really all the same thing. It's what A Course in Miracles has to say about this is that you can't pretend what you see and the level of the world is not going on. You should look, right? You have to look. You got to know what's going on, right? But you don't live there, right? So you don't live there because what's happening is, and I'm going to really step out and go back a little bit. What's really happening is right now, this world is finally coming to a point because there's so many light workers. There's so many of us. There's so many more, and we're banded and collected together in a way that we've never been. There's so many people that are starting to raise up when it comes to transcending the way we behave and the way we think, right? We're transcending. We know that we can't play small. There's people out there that are starting to realize I can't play small and have peace. I can't. So in our individual relationships, it has to start there, right? So the first thing I would say is if you want peace in this world, look at your individual relationships. I see people on Facebook all the time blaming other people for what's going on. right? Blaming other people, blaming the Democrats, blaming the Republicans, angry at this one, angry at that one, trying to change other people's opinions. If you would just, or care about you, or we're always pointing the finger. And in that one place, if you want to make a change, and I know that's what I'm doing, and I've been talking about this a lot because the last 5 years of my life, I have transcended so much of that stuff, of recognizing that my political opinions were harming me, right? Like they were really harming me because what I was doing was I was separating myself from those other people, right? So separating from it. And so I know that if you're in Ukraine right now and you're hearing this, you're like, that's great, Kim. You're not really helping me, but I will get there. I promise. Okay. So, but if we can understand that everything, if you read A Course in Miracles, it says it only takes one person to forgive everyone and everything and lay down their arms for world peace to occur. So obviously we haven't found that one yet, right? So like if you're here, you're still holding, like I am too, right? So the first thing that you could start to do is teach yourself, where am I waging war in my own life? Where are my wars? Am I having a war against my body? Do I have a war against money? Do I have a war against wealthy people? Do I have a war against poor people? Where am I waging war? Do I have war against the other? Like, who's the other in my life? That's the best place to start, right? So on an individual level, it's about doing a little bit of soul searching about, if I really want peace in this world, am I willing to be the one that starts, right? Am I willing to be the one that starts peace? If you are in a place right now that is peaceful, right? And then first place, count yourself super lucky because there's not a lot of them in this world, right? There's not a lot of them. It's not very often that crazy megalomaniac is out just killing people for sport, which kind of feels like what's going on right now, right? Like that's, and it's very scary, right? It's very scary. And I get that. But if we want to be guided, first place, we have to stand in the place of peace and be peace. And then ask for the inspiration to guide you to what it is that you can do, right? That guy was, and then do it, right? So that guy, God bless him. Like it was inspired to do such a thing. Now, if you have kids, or if you have, you may not be so inspired to do that, right? If you have kids, you may be, right? But ask for I think that if each one of us woke up and asked the inspiration, what can I do to create world peace? I think that we'd find a lot of things, places in our lives where we could start, right? Like places where we could start, because I can think of people that I don't have peace with, right? People that I'll still say, oh, that one, right? Like, do you have that person in your life? Start with that person, right? Does that make sense? And I know that if you're living in the Ukraine right now, you could be listening to me and going, this is not helpful, but I promise you, it is a ripple effect right now. So I listen to her all the time, Dolores Cannon. And what they have said is right now, what's happening in the world is, and it's happening on a personal level and it's happening on a collective level, is we are working through fear to get to love. And I know we're going to get through it. The only question is, how many of us are going to be left when we get there, right? I mean, how many of us are going to be left? But if you do believe in eternal life, or that, like that you just go on, we're really going through massive growing pains. We are resisting peace. We do it individually. We do it globally. I know, because I think about my day today and I think twice. I gossiped. I meditate twice a day, and twice today I gossiped about someone else, knowing that I was gossiping. And yes, the whole office was gossiping, and I could find justification for my gossip, and I could say, oh, but don't you see they really deserve my gossip? But it's still, the rules are the rules. Life is life. Energy is energy. It doesn't shift course just because you have better intentions, right? Like, well, my intentions are so good. So who am I? I mean, I could rise above the God. No, right? So if each one of us living this, they could say, where am I not spreading love? Where am I withholding love? Where am I withholding peace? Because the Course in Miracles is very, very clear on how peace is created in the world. First place, they say that this world is not a world of peace. It's a world of war. All right. Abraham Hicks will say there's always conflict here, because through conflict, you really just learn. you figure out what you want, right? Through conflict, you know what you want. I mean, we wanted peace before, but then when it went right up against a NATO country or a country where we started to feel threatened, don't we all really want peace a lot more? There wasn't peace in this world before, by the way. There wasn't. I mean, if you ask the people in Syria and you ask the people in even what's the Crimea, like how things were going, you know, they're going to say, "Where have you been, America?"
Yeah, there's always turmoil. There's always turmoil,
Right.
and we've talked about this before with the internet, which we benefit from. That's what we're coming to everyone on right now. You know, there's plus and there's minus, and you know, when my daughters were little, or you know, they'd be like, "Why do you like to do all this fundraising stuff?" I'm like, well, because it's right there. You know, it's happening. You know, there's a flood in Texas. There's a flood in Florida. There's a tsunami that happened here. There's death that happened there. And they're like, you can't save the world. People say that to me all the time.
Yes, you can.
And the thing is I believe that you can, but not everybody does. But I'm not ready. I also, I mean, I'm amazed by the person that, you know, that picked up and went. I think that's amazing. But I can't judge myself against that and say I'm less than. I can only do what I can do. And I know that that's not I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying it for the benefit of people listening.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where the topic kind of hit home with pivoting, because this is what this month's topic is before our big class. So I thought to myself, how can we introduce pivoting at a time like this when you're like, well, does pivoting mean I'm going to ignore what's happening? No, it doesn't mean that you're going to ignore it. But if you are such a person like an empath or someone that is completely and like utterly affected by the negativity, where you're just going to become this black hole for negativity, then you need to turn away and you need to figure out another way to do it, which is then don't watch the news, pray more. You know, don't watch the news, meditate more with the intentions of peace for the Ukraine.
So my thinking is this, and this is why I wanted to get into pivoting. So if you're feeling negative, remember that we are all energy. Our energy does not stop at our skin, right? So whatever and energy is infectious, and it's pollution, right? It's either negative or positive. I can't think of another word for pollution, but it permeates, right? So everything that we do has a ripple effect, right? If you just I mean, I can't tell you how many people have been so gracious to me in my life and done things for no reason, just for the good. And I can think of every single one of them, right? And and so many times where I give and I'm generous, and those times always feel good, right? But I think there are a couple things, guys. The first thing is changing your energy. And I want to say the second thing is ask for inspiration. So let's go to changing our energy. The way pivoting works is very simple. You notice that you're feeling really negative about what's going on in the world. And then you recognize that you're feeling negative. You're feeling terror is not serving anyone, right? Your feeling terror is actually harming not just you, but it could have the potential of permeating and putting that out there. Just like when we were doing all that politics and people were like so sure that they were so right. I have to say nothing broke me down more than those political fights. I became a better person through all of that. So thank you everybody that I judged, and that I been able to let go of, because it gave me to a deeper level of love and meaning. And so I think that this is like, wow, we got to put up or shut up, right? Like it is time for the light workers to get out there and start really demonstrating what it means to be peaceful. And maybe, and they could say, well, this is, I've heard things, I'm not going to go there, that this is just a distraction or whatever. I don't care. This, I don't know. It spoke to me. It probably spoke to you. We all became very afraid, right? We all became afraid. Like we became frightened for the people, saddened, sickened, terrified, how desperate for people who we don't even know. And then all those Polish mommies put those little strollers out, and you think there's so much good in the world, and that's our job, is to just figure out a way to permeate good. So the first thing that we could do is pivot. And why we want to pivot is to keep the energy of love so strong that everyone that bumps into it is lifted up, right? Everything that bumps into it is lifted up, because that energy is true and real. It's not just because you can't see it. You know it's there. You know, I'm going to tell you something that today, all day long, I had a lot of things to do, and I was trying very hard to stay very positive, right? Trying, doing my work, because I just felt like a little overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, I start to get like negative or angry, like, oh, why do I have so much stuff to do? So I was doing my work to get there. And then I got here and I saw you two, and I'm like, I love them, right? Like, and you didn't even say anything to me. Like, you didn't say anything to me. We didn't have a conversation. It was just the energy of knowing you were there. That you didn't hug me. You didn't come up and hug me, or just knowing that you were there in my corner,
Absolutely.
knowing that this was our time. And so finding those things in your world that make you go, oh, I'm here, I'm home, right? And so pivoting is saying, when you notice you're not feeling happy, that means you're thinking about what you don't want. So let's just be, I don't want, I could go on a rant. I don't want Russia to take, I don't want Putin to murder more people in Ukraine. I don't want, I could talk about what I don't want for a really long time. But then the pivot is talking about what you don't want increases what you don't want.
Exactly.
Right? Because if I say, oh my God, let's just listen to this for a minute. What I really don't want is, I don't want Russia to go into what is the part that he's not in, the south or the north, and be able to make waves there. And then next, all of a sudden, a skirmish happens in Poland, and then the World War III. Like, that's scary. Didn't I just sound terrified? Right? Like, that's scary. What I want is, I want a really calm solution. I want him to just pull back. I want people to recognize and be empowered through this. I want Ukrainians to feel loved and precious and taken care of. I want so many people. I want the world to come together and rise up and say, no more of this. It's time to love. It's time to take care of each other. Now, how does that feel when I'm saying it out loud, right? Nothing changed. It's not like anything out there really changed, right? But when you point your ship in the direction of that you want to go, or your car in the direction of you want to go, chances are you're going to get, and I should say ship because water does stuff that I don't know about, but I know the road does stuff. If you point your car in the direction you want to go and you hit the gas pedal, you have a much bigger chance of getting there than if you're pointing in the direction you don't want to go. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Well, I feel like it's funny you said pollution before, and I'm like, you're like, I don't know what the opposite is, and I thought of a diffuser. So many people put like a diffuser with like, with the oils in it and things like that. And I think that's the visual I get, is if we can just, when you walk into somebody's house and you smell something like, I don't know, a pie baking, you're like automatically on a different level of joy. When you walk in, I mean, Tracy, we went to that place that it's what's it called? It's not pasties. It's called like pasty. Like, it's a different name than like, I forget, because I looked at it. There's one
pasty. It's a pasty.
I don't know if it's a pasty.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody else told me it was called something else.
Oh, well, the ones that
whatever it is from England that tastes
from England, the ones that I've had have been called pasties, because I always equated it to pasties.
Strippers. But so all I have to tell you is, when we walked in and we smelled that, we were like, where are we right now? This is amazing. So I just think that and then you're driving down the turnpike and you're near like that area that smells like rotten eggs, and no matter what you're doing in that car and it hits you in the face, you're like, oh my God. And somebody turns around and they're like, that wasn't me. But so it's like when you're with a bunch of people and you have somebody who's a naysayer all the time and who's negative, and they start spreading that stuff, and then you look at your friend and you go, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I feel like that's what it is. I think you need to elevate yourself and be around as many people as you can that are going to be on a high flying disc, and just be as positive as you can. And I know, like Shari said the same thing. She said that it's music for her. So if you could find a song, I was trying to find, I looked up Ukrainian prayers, and there was some songs and some music and things. But if you could find something that no matter what will get you into that headspace, it does help when you think that there's nothing else that can help. That could be the hand up, traveling and listening to music. Every time I get on a plane, I listen to the same playlist. Why? So that when I'm home and I'm in a place where I feel like I really wish I could go away, but I can't get away, I put my ear things in, I listen to that playlist, and it brings me back to that energy. And I did it walking up the Grand Canyon. I was like, I want to remember these moments and this color and this feeling and this feel of cold air and the smell. I want to remember it, so I'm going to attach it to music. Some people have an easier time with that than others, but for me, I know that's what it is.
And I also want to mention something, like, we can manifest a parking spot really easily, right? Like, the things that don't feel that hard, we manifest so simply, right? Like, I have to tell you, people may like laugh. I get rock star parking all the time. That's what I call it, rock star parking.
That's
like,
what I call it.
Right.
I get rock star parking because I asked for it. I'm on the way. And I'm like, oh, guys, can you help me out with great parking? Like, and I just drive right up to the front, and there's always somebody coming out when I'm going in, right? Thank you. Thank you. And sometimes I start in the morning and I get excited. Ooh, what kind of parking spot are you going to give me today? And I have a client that I was working with this week, and I didn't really ask to share her story. So I'm going to kind of make it as general as possible. But she was talking about like paying off debt, right? And she was talking about that she has debt to pay off, and she just doesn't want to take on more hours. And how am I going to get the debt paid off? I'm like, well, why don't you put this out to the universe? Why don't you say, thank you, universe, for sending me money from all directions, north, south, east, and west, and all directions in betweens, in ways I never even considered, and make it magical for everybody involved. And when she's like, what do you mean? So it benefits everybody. Nobody gets harmed or hurt. It's not like some great aunt has to die for you to get some inheritance.
Right. You're not taking it away from somebody else.
Yeah, right. In magical ways. So I said, say it all day long. Get so excited. Say, send me gifts. Just send me gifts. So she texted me 3 times. Like, her husband got more money put into, like, a big chunk of money put into his retirement account from his boss. She got this one specific job that she paid her a ton of money in like a really short amount of time. And she, what was the other thing? Oh, and they got money back from their taxes like the first time ever. And she said, why haven't I been doing this all along? So what if we all did that with the Ukraine? If we all just were like, there's going to be, if we all just were like, knew it, there's just going to be, Putin's going to recognize that his ego, like, because I really do think it's like a Putin war, like, right, like, let's be honest, right? That he's going to find a way to satisfy his ego so he can pull out of this. That could be one thought that you think that it makes you feel. The people from the Ukraine are going to be shielded into protection in ways that they never even thought of. Like, if we spend our day doing that, like, or even on a broader scale, people are going to start to really learn that it's tiresome. Like, isn't it going to be great that people are just going to be so tired of waging war against each other, and we're just going to start finding ways to make each other laugh all day long? Wouldn't that be great, right? Wouldn't it be great if comedy became a part of the curriculum in high school? Like these are the kind of things that you could think about. Like, take those thoughts and just bring them out, and they start to feel good. Because, like, let's be honest, wouldn't it be great if comedy was a curriculum in high school? Like, we learned how to make each other laugh.
Right.
We learned the art of laughter or something like that. There's so many different things that we could think about. There's so many things that we could think about that could empower the world. And the thing is, when you start yourself on those paths of moving your energy in the direction of what you want, you get inspired to get what you want. The other thing that I want to say 2 more things about pivoting, right? So you're feeling, we're all, you get into that place, because my son came up to me, and I think I shared this the other week, and he's like, Mom, are we going to go to war? And so people get scared. So picture, come up with a picture in your mind, visualize what you want, visualize, everybody at the beach playing, or I don't think there's a beach in Ukraine, but like or Crimea, right? But that's down. But picture people like on blankets in the summer, or like laughing with each other. Picture, oh, my dog wants to come in the room.
Picture your dog coming up and kissing you, and picture all the poor dogs that are losing their homes. So now they're not anymore. They're actually filled with love and snacks and treats and belly rubs.
And everybody gets a new dog.
Everybody gets a dog, Oprah.
That wants one, because not everybody wants a dog. Picture those things. I just picture my boyfriend getting a dog, being like, really?
Yeah. He's like, that's not
Tracy, what is it that you were just going to say?
No, I'm just listening to what you're saying. I'm just listening. because today's lesson is a harder one. It seems a little new agey out there. Like, really, is that that's what's gonna change everything? You know what I mean? So I'm in the way of the audience. Like, if I'm being really honest as an audience member, and it's like, okay, so I do see what you're saying, and I can see how that would definitely benefit. Like, I can absolutely see where that needs to be taken into consideration, for sure.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you on the level of it's not going to be the outcome. I'm not talking about the outcome. I'm talking about the energy, right?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. I just don't want to give the misconception that and I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, and I can conceptually see, like, yes, that makes total sense. I just don't want someone seeing this to think like, oh, just pretend it's not happening, and then it's not going to happen. No, so I just want to make sure that we say that that's not what.
We're totally not making light of it.
Right.
No, absolutely.
No. Nobody. I don't, and it doesn't feel like we're making light of it, for sure, and it doesn't. That's what I want to make sure of, because and you said, Kim, and it's very true. It's like there's wars going on all the time. There's civil wars in Africa. And we are concerned with this war now because it's going, if something more happens, it's going to directly affect us, right? And so that is a very true fact of, like, okay, you can't just be concerned about stuff when it's only going to affect you. That's not the positive way. But I'm just being really realistic of, like, yes, this is really what's happening. Also, one of the ways I look at it, which is a different way to pivot, is I personally think that I think you need to know what's happening in the world. I don't think you need to dwell on it. Like, I think Donna and I are at two opposite ends of the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I listen way too much to news. Like, I recognize that, of, like, you could listen to one news feed and then be done with it. Like, right? You don't have to listen to it all while you're for me, I listen to it while I'm getting ready for work. Right. And I do know that it's to the point of, like, okay, you already know what's going on. Listening to how many people are dying is not really helping you. You already know that people are dying. Do you need to know the exact number of people that are dying? But on the other hand, one thing that is a pivot is that it does put your life into perspective of things that you used to worry about. You're like, you know what? In comparison to what is happening in other parts of the world, I might not want to dwell on this little tiny thing. Right. So I'm just saying, we're talking about just different perspectives of pivoting. And I agree with you. I know personally that I need to do more of, like, okay, I'm going to wish I'm going to hope that this is the outcome. I'm going to hope that he comes to his senses. I'm going to hope that, there's a different outcome. So I do agree with you. I'm just saying, I just want to make the point that sometimes it's not all bad to listen to what's happening, because you have to have a perspective of what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. Before you say something, Kim, I just want to say this one last thing to Tracy. In answer to what you're saying, one piece of, or one thought I could give, if I may, is when you hear something, immediately, and I'm sure you already do, so for anyone that's listening that maybe is struggling with this, send that person love and light. I know that people mock it all over Facebook. I see it when people send prayers, and I love the people that are like, oh, and how come no one sent thoughts and prayers? But in all honesty, I do believe that you can send out the good energy. Yes, I know we do it all the time. Yep. So if you hear about a son who's sent at 11 years old out on his own, I would be thinking, I'm sending love and light to that mother, and I'm thinking to myself, I send you all the prayers I have in my heart as a human being, because of the decision that you had to make was not something that anyone should have to ever be in the position to make. And I am saying to you as a mother that I think that what you did was you put your son in the place of saying this is your best way of survival. And then that person is going to go out there. And I wish that 11-year-old boy, love and light, and the best possible outcome for his future, knowing that he's going to change the course of someone else's life when he gets into that person's life. Mm-hmm. And like, there's so many different ways that you can, like, send it out to those specific people as you're listening to it, which to me is like the teeter-totter. So instead of just saying in this energy here, you're like bouncing and saying, okay, well, There's nothing I can do about that. And it doesn't make it any less than. It makes it horrific. Right. But I'm going to send them love and light. And in turn, it's going to come back to you and hopefully heal you, because what you're hearing is definitely destructive. And I know I do read and I do listen to it, but I just can't listen to it as much.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And I do think that if you read A Course in Miracles, it does say it's irresponsible to not know what's going on in the world.
Correct.
You have to look at the world, but you look at the world in the effort to overcome the world. You overcome the world, but you have to know what you're overcoming, right? You have to look upon the devastation. It says, look upon the devastation. I think those words are in A Course in Miracles, because that's what the world is. I want to mention something. It's not about hoping, right? I'm not talking about hoping. I'm talking about what's going to happen is going to happen, right? I'm going to create a space of energy. I'm going to hold that space of energy. Just like when someone is sick, I hold a space of energy where I see them as well. That doesn't mean I expect them to get well. It means that I'm creating the space around them to make it easier for them to be well. We do not benefit anyone by seeing them sick, right? We benefit by them because we create a space where we speak to the wellness in them, to the love in them. In every single person on planet Earth, there's wealth, love, and healing possibility. Some of us don't heal, right? Some of us don't heal our bodies. We may heal our souls, right? I know people who are the sickest they've ever been, and their soul is probably the healthiest it's ever been, right? Sometimes that's what we have to go through. But it's not about hoping. It's about creating space. It's about holding space. And the more of us hold space, the more that space becomes an energy flow that becomes more and more possible, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but we cannot make it possible. It will not. It's harder. So it's just like the diffuser in the room. The room becomes more enjoyable, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pass the test you're sitting in when it has a nice diffuser that you haven't studied for at all, right? Like you still may fail that test, but you might be in a better mood failing it.
Better experience. Yep.
Right. And I'm not saying that one person could sit down. Actually, I kind of do believe, but like, I think that
no. I get what you're saying. I absolutely see what you're saying. I'm saying because of what this is a great example, because I've been doing what we're doing and studying and reading, I can understand exactly what you're saying conceptually. I can say, yes, I can see how that would work. I'm saying from an audience perspective, because sometimes it's like, this is a harder one. This is a harder one to really like hold on to and be like, okay, so yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it out loud because I think it needs to be addressed of like, we're not giving simplistic answers because there are no simplistic answers to this. No. There are none. And we're acknowledging that as a team that this is a really difficult topic, but it is a teachable moment's not the right word, but it is in the fact of like, what can we actually be doing when you feel helpless, when there is a scenario that is a big scenario for everyone, not just Ukraine, for Afghanistan, for Crimea, for the world, where you're saying exactly what you're saying. And we talked about this a little last week where, like Mother Teresa said, I'm never anti anything. I am for things. Right. So that, because that energy is a totally different energy. And so I just think I think it's something just to reiterate, because it's a big concept. It's a really big concept to kind of like get your mind around of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And this is what we can do. Because it feels until you really understand the lesson, which I know the two of you do.
I feel like you're going to say nary fairy or fairy.
No, not airy fairy. It feels like
pipe dreams.
No, like it's like a drop in the bucket. Like really, that's all I'm going to do. Like, okay, it seems like I could be doing a whole lot more than that. But really, you are doing a lot. I'm just talking to you both in a really realistic way of like, if I'm watching this and I'm like, okay.
And if you don't subscribe to the beliefs that we are talking about too,
it's not that you don't subscribe to it. I think what I'm saying is I subscribe to what we're talking about for sure, 100%. But I'm still saying, even though I subscribe to it, it seems like, okay, I think we should talk about it a little more because it seems very simplistic of like, just do that. And then that'll be it. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, I definitely don't think that we just do that and it'll be it. But I think for me, like growing up Catholic, we were taught to pray for everything. You would pray, you have novenas, you would pray the rosary. And then in my adult life, evolving into blending, going to an Episcopal church. And then definitely I feel I subscribe more to universal law and manifesting and putting things out there. I think for I'm only speaking for myself, like I feel because I do really subscribe to that, this is my prayer. This is like what would be if you were standing in front of a church full of people saying, we're going to join together, 100 people, 300 strong, 1,000 strong. We're going to go to the Vatican and we're going to pray for the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But this is my daily prayer and my way of doing it and just connecting it with pivoting. And that I know it's just, I guess it's just, I totally hear where you're saying. I really do. And I know.
No, I think it's a really healthy discussion. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong at all. I'm just saying,
oh no,
let's talk about it because I think it's really important because these, I'm sure Kim in A Course in Miracles, they must talk about it of like, to test your faith. These are like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where you say to yourself, wow, I mean, this is like and again, we're using Ukraine as an example, but there's so much going on all over the world where you just say to yourself, like, oh my goodness, it can get overwhelming. Totally. And how do you beat that overwhelm?
There's the thing too, because I work with someone who's really sick, right? Has breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer, right? And so could you imagine if I went up to her and said, just think positive thoughts and everything will be well. I mean, like, so I get there's a point where you're like, where the rubber meets the road. Like, how am I going to really, like, are you telling me that I'm sick and you're blaming me for being sick because I didn't think positive thoughts? Of course not. Right. Of course not. And so it sounds like, I guess if you didn't subscribe to it, it sounds like just think positive thoughts about Ukraine and everything's going to be okay. Right. But
the food's going to shrivel up into a worm. Just like the Wicked Witch.
And then you could be like, oh, and then, because then you could hear like, oh, those light workers. Right.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying, like, I do think it's important to have these discussions because then people can understand of like, yeah, no, this does make a difference. It really is important. Because I think as a light worker, you need to acknowledge that some of it sounds like, woo.
Of course.
But if we don't acknowledge it, then we're not looking at all sides. So that's what I'm trying to say. As an audience member, I just want to address that we are aware that some of it can sound like over the top, but there is a method to the madness. You know what I'm saying?
Like this. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I feel like then what's a miracle, which is a shift in perception, right? And perspective. So I agree. I don't want you to think I'm I'm just having a healthy conversation too.
Right. No, I'm saying that. I
have these conversations all the time with people. I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying that you can all of a sudden get rid of metastatic breast cancer tomorrow because you're thinking happy thoughts. But I will say this. If you find thoughts that bring you peace and you are at peace and you find peace in your life, peace will flow in some way. It may not mean that you're going to live. It may not mean that, by the way. It may not. Right. But what it means is that when your life becomes peaceful, all of those around you become peaceful and you create a space of peace in your whole life. So if your life becomes peaceful, it means that everyone around you becomes peaceful. If all of us were working, if every light worker here was working towards peace, because anybody watching this right now, I don't care what you think of yourself, you're becoming a light worker tonight because you're listening. If you just spend your time working towards elevating yourself towards peace, what that means is every interaction you have is peaceful, and then every interaction that the people, it just will spread peace, and that's how it's done. And so we don't get peace by hating Putin. We get peace by sending him love. Unfortunately, he's our, for a really long time, I've had a lot of politicians that I've had to send a lot of love to. Like, I really joke around. Like,
she had to dry clean a dress, folks. Okay. Had to change the energy for a second.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, if we all, so yes, prayer is the last thing I wanted to talk about. I really did want to talk about prayer. It's powerful. And when we pray together, it's so much more powerful. When we pray together and ask for things out loud and ask for things not in show, because I have to tell you, when growing up, one of the things that I had a really hard time with was when they say those prayers and they just say them again and again and again. And it never felt like anything. It never moved me. I never felt really very spiritual. I always just was like, I could say them by heart. I could probably say them backwards, right? Like if I really stopped and thought about it. And then they shifted things up about 10 years ago. So yeah, they shifted the
I'm with
prayers
you
around.
also.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Catholic Church, so you don't know them quite as well as you used to.
No,
Maybe
it's so that
now
this way when you hear the person doing it the whole way, you go, that jackass hasn't been to church in years.
Yeah, right. Found out.
That's exactly right. You want to know who's not putting money in the basket? They're not even. They don't even know the prayer.
No, they just keep judgment alive. Just keep judgment alive by giving you new ways to trip off yourself. But yeah, so but here's the other thing. When you live at peace, then you're inspired. When you do things beyond that keep you in that place of being connected to your highest self, what's going to happen is you're going to be inspired in a way that you can help them. In a way, and that's really what's going to happen. So if we all asked every day, show me how to help the world be at peace, and then listened, because you got to listen, because sometimes I'll be like, yeah, show me how to do this, and then I get the answer and I'm like, yeah, I don't like that answer. B, I'm
Exactly.
You're like magic 8 ball. You're like, let's go again. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask that again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm choosing B. Is there a C? And then you'll get B. You're like, I'll choose C. What's C looking like?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think it's good to talk about it, because I think, yeah, like I said, I think we need to address of like, okay, that's something to work on for me anyway. As a news listener, that's a challenging thing to work on.
And here's the other thing is that, yeah, and it is, and because I've had to tell you, as a light worker and a life coach teaching this stuff, I've been challenged by every client I've ever had. I've never had a client not say to me, I think this is kind of bullshit, right? Like at some point, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
sure.
come on. Yeah, it works for all that stuff, but this thing is really treacherous. You're going to tell me this thing, whatever it is, cancer or, bankruptcy or cheating or someone dying. Like that's not, this stuff doesn't work for that. And that's why I say it's really, really being a light worker takes a tremendous amount of courage to be able to overcome the world, because if what forgiveness really is saying, I don't know what this means, but I know it's about love. I know it's a lesson in love. And I know that if I'm on the side of anger, I'm not going to be on the side of love. I need to be able to look at this through the eyes of spirit so that I can heal myself in order to help it heal, right? Because the more we heal, the more the world heals. And it does sound maybe trite or simplistic, but it is powerful. It is powerful, because I had a woman saying all day for a week, money comes to me in easy ways, and it kept coming to her in easy ways, and she kept going, this is crazy,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
But how many of us do that all day long and try that all day long? How about we just everybody listening to this just says for the rest of the week, this thing is just gonna peter out. Those people in Ukraine, try it. Like, let's just try it. Let's see how it works. It cannot hurt.
Right.
It can. And spend a minute like closing our eyes. Which is just
can't hurt. It's just cute the way you said it.
You know what? I keep thinking of that song. Did you guys sing it when you were in grammar school? Let peace begin with me. Do you remember that song? Let peace be on earth and let it begin with me. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing like a
school or regular school.
Regular school.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah,
we were doing a.
I heard it in church.
Shake, the Nancy the Spider. I remember
we never did shake Kool-Aid, but that's interesting.
I never did.
But if that puts you in a better mood, then that's all that matters.
Definitely, yeah.
But I definitely think that we could maybe, have some intentions this week, and even if it just is, for spreading world peace, for a ripple effect of peace and ease and clarity and, and
Yeah.
joy over fear, because that is
Right.
something that I think of for those. The thing that's been affecting me that I don't really talk about with it is the whole world was in whatever, a pandemic, and now, I mean, you talk about a 1-2 punch. Imagine right now how they feel. We were locked in. We were just starting to get out of there, and then all of a sudden war was waged. So that's the stuff that really affects me, even though I don't really talk about it a lot, because I do believe that whatever I speak about does grow, and I don't want to yell fire in a crowded building.
Let me ask you that, because that one is a hard one for me as an audience member, because it feels like it feels like a little bit of denial. Like, what are you not allowed to talk about anything ever? Because then if you're not talking, if you don't address it, and I'm being totally sincere, and you know what I mean? I'm saying, like, I'm trying to reconcile that with myself of like, so wait, even if I just say, like, I just want to talk about it because it's a scenario that I think is important to talk about. If I just bring it up, then it becomes negative. Do you see what I'm saying?
I actually have an answer for this. Okay. I think that we should bring up all our fears and put them out. So we want to put them in light, right? And we share them. Like, this is my fear now. But the thing is, when you know it's a fear and you're sharing it, thoughts increase when we share them, right? So your next job is to talk about what you'd like. This is what, if you ever did an event with me,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
You got to scoop it up and hand it out, right? Like, because I'm going to tell you, if you don't talk about it, it just grows, right? It grows. And then you have that, like, 1 o'clock in the morning thing where you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, where you
right?
Like, straight out of bed, right? Sure.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, and there's a lot that could wake us up in the world, especially because we see it all on TV and we see people dying, and it's really hard. It's hard to see. It's wars are on television, and when you see children dying, it's treacherous. It's treacherous, especially because it feels like you. It all feels like you. If you've been a mom or a dad, or you've known a kid and you see a child dying, or a mom, it just feels like it's happening to you. And then you spend a moment thinking, well, it's not my time yet. Thank you. And I do. I wake up, I'm like, thank you so much that I live where I live. And I'm so grateful.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's happening to her. Do you hear
that I'm safe right now, and that I'd like to keep my safety. They're safe. Did something happen?
Yeah, keep going. You're doing great.
Keep going now. You're back.
Am I still here?
Yes. There's a little bit of interference.
Okay.
All of a sudden we saw Russell. Right. I don't know what happened.
I was like, she's still going though. Go ahead.
No, Kim. What you're saying is super relevant, and exactly what I'm talking about is that I do feel that there's got to be some kind of compromise of, like, you've got to be able to bring things up without like, it feels a little like you're like, ignorant. I don't want to bring it up, like it's like almost like old school, like old lady,
don't talk about it. If you talk
about it, a bird's gonna fly into the window and then we're all gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be like that kind of thing. Right? Like, I'm saying in my life, I need to, as an audience member, I need to be able to reconcile, like, okay, I need to be able to have a conversation about it without feeling like I'm cursing everyone in the room by talking about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know
kind of how it feels. It's like, don't talk about it. I'm like, wait, but it's actually happening. I can't pretend it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Absolutely.
But I know for me, I just feel like if you like, there are certain people that are expected to be of a certain elevation of joy, light, spirit, whatever you want to talk about it, right? And like, I know for myself, people just expect me to always be in a good mood. I know when I'm hungry, I'm not, and you've experienced that. So, but what I'm saying to you is, you handle it in a different way than I do. Everybody handles it differently.
Oh, listen, I'm not making any judgments about how you're handling it. What I'm trying to say is, how do you handle it when?
That's what I'm just trying to tell you. So my thing is, I will listen to it. I will, but then I do prayerfully meditate.
I just missed that.
She's being a wise guy. She's deflecting because she can't handle the fact that I can be serious too. No, because I feel We're
Keep
very
going.
different. We're very different.
No,
We
no, no, but
represent.
that's not what I'm asking. I understand how you are dealing with it. That's fine. You're going to deal with it your way, and we're going to all deal with it our own way. What I'm asking Tim is like, there's got to be some pivot exercising of like, what can you actually be doing if you're saying to yourself, you're acknowledging like, hey, I'm watching too much news. It's getting to me. What can I actually be doing? You know what I mean? To pivot is what
Okay, this is great because I have this conversation all the time with my
What's the
boyfriend.
face you're
Because
making?
I could tell when he's read too much news. I can tell,
right.
like
Absolutely.
how much, because all of a sudden he's angry at everybody, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and he's raging, and I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. So what I do with him is I go on a rampage of appreciation. So I will start talking. I just start talking about all the things that I love about our life, right? And I just go on a rampage. Oh my gosh, I'm driving down the road because I go to work very, very early. So like he calls me because he's a good person and he wakes up to call me. And and I'll be like, I'll say things like, the sun is coming out and I can see all the pretty colors, and I could, I love that I have this car. I own a car. Isn't it cool that like every person pretty much owns their own vehicle in America that has it? I mean, it's so cool. I mean, like 70 years ago, nobody had a car. Like, isn't that awesome? Like, that. Like, that is a pivot. A rampage of appreciation is a pivot, right? I mean, and so that's one way to pivot. But the answer is, what is it I want, and how will that make me feel? Because if you understand that when you move into a place where you are watching the news a lot, you'll say, this is making me think about what I don't want. What is it I want? I want to feel peace. Well, what will that do to me? Like, how's it going to make me feel? How's it going to change my feelings? How's it going to change my day? Right. And maybe you could find the balance. Like, okay, how many minutes of news can I watch before I become upset? How many minutes am I going to allow myself? And where's my news sources? Like, I've been starting to, I get my news from Europe.
That's all I listen to. I don't listen to American news. I don't. One important thing that you were saying, which I think is important, I don't watch news ever for that very reason, because for me, the visuals, I can't get out of my head. So if I see like, dead children on the road, I'm going to keep seeing it. So I know that about myself, so I don't watch it. So I do understand what you guys are saying of like, try to find things, but I agree, because I am that person that listens too much. So I listen to the BBC in the morning when I get ready for like what's happening. Hopefully it's not all Ukraine based, but 90% of it is right now.
Yeah,
because of what's happening. Now. But
And then every once in a while, it's funny because I was going down one news thing, and like the first news story was like about a Kardashian or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
and you're like, what?
That's the biggest news we have in America.
Right.
Like,
embarrassing.
That's line one.
But maybe to pivot for you, it could be just to find something that's like uplifting, like you listen to Joel Osteen. So when you finish listening to 10 minutes of the news, listen to 20 minutes or at least the equal of something uplifting. And it just can fill back up what has been emptied.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention something because I'm very lucky in that I spend a lot of days trying to get people to do to find powerful thoughts about what they're going through, right? Really find powerful thoughts about specific things, right? And I don't find them for them. I kind of ask questions and get people to try to find powerful thoughts, not fake thoughts, not like, oh, I'm going to be immediately cured of metastatic breast cancer and I'm going to, be like that. That's not a real thought, and it's not going to make you feel better, but finding powerful thoughts. And maybe one of the things I've realized from my work is that I always feel so much better after a session. I personally feel so much better after a session, trying to help someone feel better. So that's something that you could do. Like, who do you know in your life that you could uplift? Be an uplifter. That doesn't mean be a drag out of the black hole tar pit and get sucked in with them. I'm talking about like you stay happy.
Right.
And try to, because that can happen too, right?
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. I'm putting it up there.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
That means so much to me, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's something fun and uplifting.
Mm-hmm. It is. I miss it. I miss it. But you know what I don't miss? We're going to have some cards.
Wow, that went fast.
It's that
That
time.
went really fast. We're over. We're actually over. I didn't want to interrupt because I knew you were finishing something important.
We could have talked for like another hour about
know.
this.
We'll have it next week. We'll be back next week from 8 p.m. to 9. And don't forget, for anyone that's just tuning in, that we also have our next Open-Minded Mystics Mastermind. And it's pivoting, turning showers into flowers, Monday, March 28th, 7:30 p.m. to 9. That's Eastern Standard Time. It's $20 per session. Includes lecture, interactive workshop, and group discussion. We've been building an amazing tribe of, a group of people that are just so amazing, uplifting. And you can send Venmo, actually, Donna Viet Salon Gossip, with your email address to reserve your spot. And tonight, I'm actually going to send out last time's meditation because I couldn't figure out how to edit it. So everybody just, when the meditation's over, just end it. How about that? Because I can't drag my feet any longer. I've been back here for a week now. So I apologize to anyone that's listening that was part of that group. Let's take a deep breath. Can we please take a deep breath? And we're going to send out everything positive that we can to anyone that needs it, including, and of course, first and foremost, anyone that is affected by what's going on in the Ukraine, whether you live there or you know someone that lives there, or you're just an empath or just a human being that's decent. So, Tracy, I think you should go first tonight.
Okay.
All
right.
So you tell me when.
Right there.
Okay. I felt it, Tracy. First one is imagine. Clearly visualize the life you want. Feel it in your heart and soul, and so it will come to be. Imagine.
That's awesome. It's kind of like
that's a great song. That's what we should be listening to, right?
Yep.
How about that, John Lennon?
Yeah, exactly.
Blue Angel. I, Archangel Michael, am here by your side. I am all around you and will forever protect you. Remember this whenever you feel fearful. I love you all as well. That's perfect for you tonight.
Yes.
It really is. Yeah. Kim, right? She's like, Donna, you're pretty good with those cards.
Like, wow.
I don't remember hearing Blue Angel before, so that was a new one.
That's a nice one.
Right.
And the colors are blue and gold.
Hey, now, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. I lost you. Stop.
Okay. I lost you. Stop. No whammies, big bucks. Okay.
No whammies.
Sacred space. We, your guardian angels, surround you with emerald, gold, and rose pink light. We get this every week. This has been either yours or Tracy's. Okay.
No, or yours. I don't think
or
I
mine. You've definitely gotten this. Yes.
Oh, I have. Okay.
Yes, because I remember the emerald, gold, and rose pink light. Surrender your concerns and worries and enter the sacred space of love and healing. And the undercard is imagine. So that must be okay. So right now, 2 out of 3 of us got imagine. Clearly visualize the life you want. Feel it in your heart and soul, and so it will come to be. That's exactly what we were talking about tonight, correct?
Yep.
We're talking about the fact that if we can all just imagine from now until we meet again next Monday, that the world is a place that we want it to be. That even if we cannot personally end what's happening, we can positively affect someone, if not anyone else, but ourselves, and that alone will affect others.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that too. Okay. First one. Do it now. Don't put it off any longer. Have courage. Listen to your intuition, for it is guiding. It is the guiding voice of your soul. Do it now.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Healing angel. At this very moment, you are being bathed in gold, pink, and deep green light. Accept the healing. We, your angels, surround you with wings of love. You are eternally free, eternally fresh, and eternally abundant.
Nice.
There we go. So if you identify with any of our energy, then you'll know which cards spoke to you. But definitely, I would say imagine would be something that we can definitely put out there for everyone. And I just am so appreciative that we held this space tonight and that we have each other always. And thank you to everyone that watched tonight, shared, or subscribed. And I appreciate it. Yes, Jerry Reesby, you are amazing. Great news. Yes, it is great news, right? unless you heard something else while we're here. Thank you, Corey. Seriously, thank you, Angel. Thank you so much, Shari, for being here tonight. Jessica, thank you to everyone who was here tonight. For those of you that just even liked and loved us tonight, Luca Petta, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you, and we wish you peace.
Have a great week, everybody.